Did you know that nearly 10% of American adults have tried psilocybin at least once in their lifetime, and about 8 million adults used it just last year? Okay, and get this, nearly half of those people were microdosing. So if you've been hearing whispers about, oh my gosh, I'm not drinking, I'm microdosing, or you're hearing things about moms on mushrooms and you're wondering, what the heck is microdosing? That's what this video is about. Google searches for microdosing have increased by nearly 1,200% since 2015. And we're not talking about hippies dancing around in the mud or tech bros. We're talking about suburban moms, working moms, stay-at-home moms, women like you and me who are quietly exploring something that kind of sounds crazy, but actually might work. Friends, I am Tracey Tee, founder of Moms on Mushrooms, and I consider myself to be a humble student of magic mushrooms. They have absolutely changed my life. And while I may be humble and still learning about this medicine just like you, I am absolutely a very loud advocate for a mother's right to work with this medicine without stigma, without judgment, safely and intentionally. So today we are going to cover things you need to know about microdosing as a mom, what the heck microdosing actually is, why so many moms are curious about it, and the real benefits and risks that nobody talks about. And most importantly, I want to share with you how to work with this medicine safely and intentionally. Okay, I've got my notes here. So, what exactly is microdosing? What the heck is it anyway? Okay, microdosing is traditionally referred to taking a substance, normally a psychedelic substance, usually psilocybin or LSD, although many people are microdosing many other things these days, including GLP-1 and Ozempic. We're not going to get into this on this channel because we're talking about psychedelics. But for this video, we're going to talk about microdosing psilocybin or microdosing magic mushrooms. So microdosing means taking a tiny fraction of what someone would otherwise consider to be a large dose, a heroic dose, or that amount of mushrooms that you take when you take a trip. All right. So microdosing is actually 1/10 to 1/20th the amount of a large dose that someone would take for a macrodose. A full dose or heroic dose, as it is often called, it might be in the range of 3 grams of mushrooms, although many people report perceptual hallucinogenic effects when taking mushrooms around the amounts of half a gram, which would be 500 milligrams, up to a gram, and then above. So again, perceptual, or the kind of the stories that you've heard of seeing things and rainbows and unicorns in the sky and tripping, that really starts to kick in around the 2 to 3 gram. 3 grams is what's usually considered to be a traditional macrodose amount, although you can start really feeling those perceptual effects oftentimes at a half a gram or 500 milligrams and up. So we're skipping all of that, and we are talking about a subperceptual or subhallucinogenic dose, which is 1/10 to 1/20th of that higher dosage, which typically leaves you, a microdose is around 50 milligrams to 200 milligrams of psilocybin. Okay. So it's a far cry from this large dose amount. And the point is that you're not high. The point is that you're not hallucinating. The point is that you're not feeling any of the perceptual effects in your body, but the medicine is working in a slower and softer way, offering you the same benefits that can happen in a large dose journey experience. So what does microdosing feel like? Like, how do you know it's in you? How do you know it's working? This has a lot to do with the unlearning that we need to wrap our brains around when we talk about microdosing and working with psychedelics as medicine. This is not passive medicine, okay? This isn't take it and sit back and wait for it to do the work for you. Microdosing and working with psilocybin really means that you're co-creating and that you're working together with the medicine, which is also to say that this isn't a quick fix or, again, a passive fix. This isn't Advil. What we're so used to in the West is that we have an issue, we have a complaint, we take a Western allopathic medicine and we wait for us to fix it, right? We have a headache, we take an Advil, the headache goes away. Antidepressants work in many of the same ways, right? Like we're feeling a certain way, we're not at our stasis, we're below our stasis, we work with an antidepressant. We don't really do anything. We just sit back and wait for it to kick in, and then we're changed. Same with cold medicine. I have the sniffles, I have a cough, I take Robitussin, my cough goes away. But the problem here is that we're not actually getting to the root cause. Psilocybin and psychedelic medicine gets to the root cause, which is why I say it's not passive. It actually is requiring you to do an effort of work for the medicine to do its job and co-creating with you. We're going to get into more of that later. So all that to say, when you're microdosing, you just want to make sure that you're not high, you're not tripping. From a scheduling standpoint or a protocol standpoint, and there's going to be another video talking about protocols and how to take it. Typically, people microdose between 2 and 5 days a week. But the truth is that you never want to microdose every day because you want integration days. What are integration days? Integration days are your days off when you are with the medicine. You're pulling in the messages and the aha moments and the downloads and the realizations that you might have had on your microdosing day. And then you're applying them on your days where the medicine isn't in your body. This is where that neurogenesis or rewiring our neural pathways starts to happen, because you start to train your brain in new ways and you start to fix old habits. And that's why your off days when you work with medicine are just as important as your on days. This, again, is completely different than traditional Western medicine because it's normally suggested that you're just like on it all the time if you need it to work. That's not how microdosing is. And that brings us to intention. Intention is everything. Why do you even want to microdose in the first place? This is something that I could do 1,000 videos on and probably will. But if you're not clear why you want to work with this medicine, and if you are really in a space of desperation and you just want to be happier, or you just want more creativity, or you just want to fix your marriage, microdosing probably isn't going to work for you because it's not passive. You have to be willing to put in some work as well. We're going to get to that in a minute. And this is not about escaping reality. There is no numbing out when it comes to microdosing. In fact, the medicine working with your brain actually makes you more open, more present, more here, more aware than, let's say, alcohol, for example. You are not closing things down. You are actually opening yourself up to be more present. But more presence and more awareness means there might be some work to do because you might be feeling your feelings. You might be noticing things that bother you or that don't feel right, and it's up to you to make those changes. All right, so how does psilocybin actually work in your body? Before we dive into why this might be beneficial to moms, let's quickly understand what's happening to your brain when you take psilocybin. So when you consume psilocybin, the acids in your stomach actually convert psilocybin into psilocin. And psilocin is the compound that affects our brain. So it should be noted here that you actually have to ingest magic mushrooms for them to work. You can't snuff it, you can't inject it, you can't put a transdermal patch on. It actually needs to be ingested. And the acids in your stomach actually have to convert it. That's really where the magic happens. So psilocin then interacts with your serotonin receptors in your brain, okay? Serotonin is that feel-good neurotransmitter, that feel-good hormone that makes your brain, which makes your mood better. So what it does is it works with those receptors. If they're closed off, it might make them open. This is a very non-doctoral scientific description. This is mom language, and allows those serotonin receptors to increase your mood, increase your creativity, increase your focus, increase your awareness. So it's giving your brain's communication system a gentle nudge. That's what microdosing might be versus a massive overhaul, which is what a large dose journey might be. So what does this mean in real life? Again, at microdose levels, you are not hallucinating or tripping. You're creating subtle shifts in your brain and how your brain processes information. That's what we mean by creating neural pathways or neurogenesis. You are creating shifts in your brain to process information differently. And that can look so many different ways for so many different people. So think of it like this. You're on a snowy ski slope and you're at the top of the mountain and you're looking down at the same slope, the same trail that you've skied down 1,000 times before. Microdosing and psilocybin helps you create a new pathway down the mountain. So when you microdose, if your brain is the mountain, you're able to move over into that fresh powder and create a whole new way down the mountain. And it might be a trail that's better than the other way ever could have been. That's the point of microdosing. This isn't about escaping reality. It's about experiencing the same reality that we're already in, but through a slightly different lens. And in these tiny doses, the effects are, again, subperceptual, subhallucinogenic, which means you shouldn't feel intoxicated or high or unable to drive or take care of your kids or operate machinery. It's like that feeling. If someone was going to ask me, like, what does it feel like in your body? It's that feeling, I suppose, of having that one cup of coffee, right? It's in your body. You notice that it's there. You notice subtle shifts, whether you feel more alert or more awake, but you're not inhibited. You're not changed in any way. You're not unable to do any of your normal daily activities. You just know that it's there. All right. So you're a mom. You're a mom and you're thinking about microdosing. Maybe you went to a party and all of a sudden, all the moms who you always used to drink your wine with are now drinking soda water with lime because everyone is microdosing. Have you experienced that yet? So what are they experiencing? What's changing them so much that they're not even wanting to drink at a gathering? First of all, microdosing allows you to change habits easier and habits that maybe you no longer serve you, like drinking. Also, we're learning that psilocybin is actually anti-addictive. So first of all, we know that psilocybin is not addictive at all, and you should know that. It is not addictive. You cannot become addicted to psilocybin. You build up a tolerance of it pretty quickly in your body, which means that it won't have any effect if it's compounded over time. This is why people can't really do 2 large dose journeys back to back one day and then the next. Your body won't respond to the psilocybin. And what we're finding is that it's actually anti-addictive, which means it's helping support people wanting to change their addictions, whether it's to alcohol or nicotine or sugar or coffee. The list goes on and on. So what are moms experiencing? Here's what's coming up in my community, in Moms on Mushrooms. First and foremost, many mothers find that they just have better emotional regulation, right? Like less yelling, more patience. They find that they're able to be more present amidst the chaos of motherhood. And they're not like going through their to-do list or finding themselves getting distracted by their phones or other things. They're able to just drop in with their families, drop in with their young kids and just be there and then attend their tasks after they're doing whatever they're doing with their kids. Another big thing is that moms are just feeling more like themselves. I can't tell you how many women have come to me and said, I don't remember the last time I've cried. I don't remember the last time I've laughed. I don't remember what it feels like to feel my feelings. And psilocybin is a non-specific amplifier. So it's going to amplify things that are laying below the surface of you and bring them up. So while it may bring up feelings of sadness or rage, it also just might bring up feelings of joy and gratitude and ease. And gosh, what a beautiful thing to feel when you're a mother. As far as daily life improvements, we're talking enhanced focus, creativity and problem solving, creativity in general. I can't tell you how many moms in our community have said to me, oh my gosh, I started painting again. I started writing again. I picked up my guitar or my piano and I'm just making music again because I love it. Creativity is probably one of my favorite things about working with psilocybin and microdosing. I find that I don't censor my thoughts. My thoughts just come through and out, and I'm not like, oh, Tracey, you're so dumb. No one's going to like that. That part of my brain just isn't on. And that means the ideas just flow better. So, look, these are very personal experiences, and they're definitely not medical claims. Everyone is different, and this medicine definitely works differently with every person. So, what works for one mom might not work for another. And this is really why coaching and group courses, I think, are so important because this medicine is rooted in community. And I really don't think it should be done in a vacuum. And because it's so different than anything we're used to in the West, working with it and starting to create a relationship and learning about it in a group or with a coach so that you can share your experiences and hear the experiences of others just makes the entire process so much richer, so much deeper, and you have a lot more context to understand what's going on and how and why it's working in your body. And the truth is, some people just don't like microdosing, and that's totally okay. There's a lot of people that have tried microdosing and actually prefer taking large dose journeys periodically, whether that's a couple times a year, a few times a year, once every other year. People do it on very many different schedules, but they just find that the larger doses really help them. And conversely, a lot of moms find that microdosing helps them more than the macrodose. And here's my philosophy, especially why I started Moms on Mushrooms. Because we don't have any understanding or context of psychedelic medicine, of ancient sacred medicine, and how to work with it in our culture as a rule, I think that jumping into a large dose experience, especially as a busy Western mother, can be really destabilizing. I love the idea of learning about psychedelics, learning about psilocybin slowly, gently, bringing it into your body, understanding the changes that it's making, creating a relationship with it, and then going on to taking a large dose. And from there, you're going to have a lot more context and understanding of the medicine, a lot more confidence, a lot less fear. And that's going to make you have a much better large dose experience. And in the process, you've created this beautiful practice of microdosing that you can carry on for the rest of your life. So this isn't a magic pill, right? This isn't something that you're going to do in 3 days and everything is going to be fixed. A lot of women come to microdosing with these major expectations. I'm going to lose 30 pounds. I'm going to write the book. I'm going to get the job promotion. I'm going to fix my marriage. I'm going to be happy. And those things may happen, absolutely, but it's definitely not going to happen on the timeline that you're expecting. We have to unlearn what it means to work with medicine. And instead of expecting it to just change everything, which is, gosh, what we're fed on Instagram and social media every single day of our lives. Take this shot, take this pill, do this workout, everything's going to be better. I'm here to tell you, you're going to be very disappointed if you bring those expectations into microdosing. It's not a magic pill. It does require work, but the real work of change and healing, like if you're ready for that in your life, that's going to happen regardless. The beautiful thing about microdosing is that it just creates this window of opportunity, this window of expansion. It's an ally that's going to help you along the way. All right. So reality check. Let's talk about safety. Let's talk about risks. This is the stuff that keeps me up at night because I want you to be safe. I love moms and I love this medicine, and I am just as protective about mothers as I am about this medicine. So it is important that we understand the safety, that we understand the risks, and we understand how to work with this with respect and intentionality so that it benefits you. There is an understanding that it can potentially harm you. So as far as microdosing goes, generally speaking, we all agree that there's just not enough long-term studies done yet. I can do a whole video about why that is, but the truth is that setting up a longitudinal microdosing study has so many factors behind it that are really hard to calibrate. It's really hard to have a microdosing study. You have to have everyone basically weigh the same, eat the same food, get the same amount of sleep, have the same amount of stress, take the exact same amount, and they all can't have any other outside factors affecting them, which is why microdosing studies are hard. So a lot of the research is done through self-reported experiences. This gets into kind of a contested place because scientists and doctors will be like, it's just patient self-reporting, or this is just placebo when people are just reporting what they want to report. If a placebo is helping hundreds of thousands of people, is that really a bad thing? It's not causing any major toxic detriments. But I also believe that we should believe people. I think we should believe people when they say that microdosing has helped them. I think there's enough people, we're talking hundreds of thousands of people who have been doing this for a long time. I think we should believe what they say and trust their experiences. And if there's a way to categorize those and find anecdotal data, I think that's worthwhile. So, what are some side effects that are reported? So, you definitely can get some headaches. Psilocybin magic mushrooms are known to cause nausea, especially in larger amounts, but sometimes they can cause nausea in small amounts. Fatigue can happen, especially in the beginning of microdosing. I have theories on the fatigue. I think from an energetic standpoint, the beautiful thing about microdosing is it brings your heart and your brain in alignment so that they're communicating, and your body in alignment with both of those things. And finally, maybe for the first time ever for a busy mom, your heart is listening to the messages that your body has been trying to send. It's sending up to your brain, and your body might just have been saying for a long time, I really just need to lie down and take a nap. And your brain is finally receiving it, and then boom, you feel a lot of fatigue. Again, psilocybin is a non-specific amplifier, so it's going to amplify a lot of the latent things that are lying beneath the surface and the subconscious. And one of those things might be fatigue. Emotionally, some people might experience increased anxiety or mood swings. About 18% of people report some sort of physical discomfort. About 7% of people do report increased anxiety. So if you have really high anxiety, and this is where it's just a dance, and again, why I think it's important to microdose with a coach or in a group or with a course, sometimes psilocybin can amplify the anxiety, and oftentimes it helps lower the anxiety. And this comes down to set and setting, even in a microdose sequence, and how you're taking it, and really understanding the other things that are involved physiologically in your body, such as how much sleep you're getting, what your stress level is at, how much caffeine you're drinking, because caffeine can actually amplify psilocybin. It can amplify the effects of it. That can go for sugar. And so there's a lot of things that can amplify anxiety just in our daily life. And I want to make sure that you're not blaming mushrooms for maybe what that third cup of coffee did. Also want to just make sure you understand that psilocybin has one of the, if not the lowest toxicity level in terms of drugs. It is not lethal. You actually can't overdose on psilocybin. You would have to consume so many pounds of mushrooms, your body would start just rejecting the consumption of the mushrooms. And it doesn't shut down your organs like, for example, opioids or alcohol does. So there's actually no known recorded death directly caused by overdose of psilocybin. Yes, we've all heard of people jumping off buildings, and it's tragic, and you should absolutely, if you've taken a large dose, never get behind the wheel of a car, just like you shouldn't in any other altered state. But the idea that psilocybin itself can kill you in the way that fentanyl can kill you or heroin can kill you is simply not true. I want to talk about some quality control. This is generally an illegal substance in most of the United States. That means it's unregulated, and it means it makes it hard. It makes it harder for people to find ethical sourcing with exact measurements, knowing that it's lab tested, knowing that it's clean. And so what you take in terms of a microdose, depending on the source, can actually really affect how it affects your body, because the measurements might be different, the potency might be different. There's a lot of things to play in that, and I can do that in another video. From a mental health standpoint, if you have schizophrenia or bipolar 1 disorder, it is strongly advised that you never work with psilocybin. With other mental health diagnosis, I think that it's absolutely important for you to speak with a psychedelic educated doctor or psychiatrist and ask them if they think working with psilocybin is going to be of benefit to you. Medical interaction. So psilocybin actually has a very small list of contraindications. The biggest one that you should never take with psilocybin or never take psilocybin if you're taking this is lithium. Okay, if you're taking lithium, microdosing isn't going to be right for you. It is an absolute contraindication and will cause damage, so don't do that. If you are on antidepressants, there are many antidepressants, SSRIs and SNRIs, that can be taken with psilocybin. It might blunt the effects of psilocybin. For an example, psilocybin is an opener, antidepressants are a closer, so they tend to contradict each other. So again, I really suggest that you speak with your medical team if they are psychedelic educated and understand how and what psilocybin does and how it works in the body and its benefits, and they're not horribly against it. But I definitely recommend talking to your doctor or medical team before you start anything, especially if you're on medication. And the biggest thing I think for success in microdosing is your commitment. Are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to invest in time and space for you to contemplate and create an intentional microdosing practice? This is the most important thing. Feelings are going to come up. This is a very heart-centered, beautiful medicine, has to do with your mental health and wellness. So are you ready to feel those feelings? At the end of the day, how ready are you to change? Do you actually want to change? And are you in a place where you're supported and you have the time and space to navigate the changes that might come up in your life? Let's talk about what microdosing is not, because there is a lot of misinformation out there. Microdosing is not an escape from your problems. Microdosing is not replacement for therapy or medical treatment. Microdosing is not something that you should try impulsively. Microdosing is not something that you should try with high expectations of instantaneous results. Microdosing is not a cure-all for motherhood stress. It's just not. But here's what it is. Microdosing is an ally for self-exploration and for that growth that you seek. Microdosing is something that requires intention and preparation and time and patience. Microdosing is part of a much broader wellness approach. Microdosing is part of your overall physical health, your overall mental health, your overall stress management, your overall sleep management, part of all of these things, because all of these things are important. It's just a part of it. And microdosing is a practice that demands respect and education. This is one of the things that concerns me the most as this psychedelic revolution continues to expand, is that we're not giving this medicine the respect that it deserves, and we're not taking the time to educate ourselves about what this medicine is, about its historical history and how it's been used in other wisdom traditions, and how it works in our body. So if you're curious, what are the next steps? First and foremost, do what I just said. Empower yourself with knowledge. You've made it this far without mushrooms. Take a few more months even and just educate yourself and start to learn about what this is instead of just doing it because you've heard about it. Join communities where you can ask questions safely. Read reputable sources, invest in a coach or a course, and don't just rely on Instagram posts. I love Instagram and you can learn a lot, but there is nuance and there is a deep breadth of wisdom and knowledge that is infused with psychedelic medicine, especially magic mushrooms, and you're just not going to get it from a 30-second reel or an Instagram post. I really encourage you to have honest conversations with your friends and your family or your partner. See what they think about psychedelics. Work through your own judgments, your own fears around this, your own stigma around it, and really get to a place where you understand your why, where you feel ready to break through maybe those fears and this propaganda and preconceived programming that we've had for 50, 60 years, and get to the place where you say, I am ready to do this and I feel empowered because I understand it. And definitely consider talking to your healthcare provider, especially if you're on any medication. And from a self-assessment standpoint, I want to encourage you to just ask yourself a couple questions. First, am I in a stable place mentally and emotionally to embark on this journey with microdosing? Am I in a place that is not in deep distress? Am I in a place that is in curiosity and inquisitiveness about how I can come back to my best self? And you're curious about it and you're ready to do the work. Coming to microdosing in deep distress and in a deep time of grief after a massive life change has happened may just bring up and amplify more of those emotions. It might be better to let the dust settle a little bit and come when you're ready to ask those big questions and you're ready to hear those answers. And last, I really think community matters. This is heart medicine rooted in connection. Mushrooms, the whole mycelial web, is all about connections, and they want to be with people. This medicine, I really believe, is not intended to be taken in a vacuum. So whether it's finding a coach, whether it's finding a guide, whether it's finding a community, or whether it's just finding a group of friends and being honest and curious and reporting your experience back to each other. I do believe community is one of the key components to a successful microdosing practice. It allows you to share your experiences, it allows you to learn from other people's experiences, and it's just going to be that much richer. I always tell moms that there's no rush. Just take your time to reflect and learn and really feel empowered before you start microdosing. Okay, so let's wrap this up and just focus on some key takeaways. Microdosing is an ally. It is a friend. It is a co-creator. It is a beautiful and supportive tool in your overall wellness toolkit. It is not an ultimate solution. Education and intention matter. Prioritize education and intention before you start your microdosing practice, and this journey is going to be richer and more beautiful, I promise. Your safety and your family's well-being comes first, so make good choices. Ask around, read good resources, connect to communities that are integrity and ethical, and get the support system you need to start a beautiful microdosing practice. And last, if you're here because you're curious and your soul is saying microdosing might be something for me, I want you to know that you're not broken if you're struggling. You're human, and it's hard to be human. And I think that's why Mother Earth, God, gives us this beautiful medicine to support us in the amazing gift we get for being human. So don't shame yourself and tell yourself you're broken. We all struggle. And I hope that whether it's moms on mushrooms or just a beautiful microdosing practice, you can find peace and joy in this beautiful struggle of being a human. If you found this helpful, please let me know in the comments. Ask other questions. If there's other videos you want to see, let me know in the comments. Subscribe to my channel if you want more honest conversations through the lens of being a mom. And if you feel like this video is helpful to a bestie, please share it so that it gets out to more people. One of my biggest missions is to just destigmatize mothers working with psychedelics. And the best way to do that is to have this conversation loud and proud and out there for all to hear. And that is why I am here sharing all this with you. And last but not least, remember that happy, healthy moms raise happy, healthy kids. Happy, healthy moms raise happy, healthy kids, period. If you take care of your heart and your body and your mind first, that ripple effect will go into every aspect of your family. It will affect the health and happiness of your children. And is there any more important job that we have on this planet than to raise happy, healthy kids? Microdosing has been an amazing, life-transforming tool to help me be a better mom, to help me be a better wife and friend. And I really hope that it can do that for you. It does take work. It does take time. But if you're curious, it just may help you. And if I can be of any service, we're here for you as well. There's lots of details down in the description about how to get more resources, and I will see you in the next one.